And I always say,
Yeah.
don't count calories, count chemicals.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah. No, it's insane. And if you when I did the detoxification unit in school, it was terrifying. The way that chemicals are, the approval process, what happens in order for them to be considered harmful to people, and how ridiculous the amount of evidence needs to be. I mean, things like, it's such a long process for something to be classified as a carcinogen, and it's, I mean, probable carcinogen. There are so many things that we know are probably not good, but they won't do anything about it.
Warning, warning. As a medical doctor, I must inform you that there are side effects to this coaching session. Beware. It may enhance your self-esteem, cause you to experience vibrant health, encounter long-term weight loss, heal damaged relationships. Warning, there are side effects to this coaching session. It may increase your enthusiasm for life and bring about hope. It may cause you to have productive and optimistic thinking. It could even help you not allow messed up people to ruin the rest of your life, and help you realize the masterpiece that you are, and empower you to be the boss of your brain. Warning, these side effects may be long-term. This is Dr. Isabel from Doctoronamission.com.
Hi, Juni. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Dr. Isabel. Thanks for having me today.
You're welcome. Please call me Isabel, okay?
Okay.
We're girlfriends talking truth, okay?
Yes, yes. I never know with doctors, some doctors, it's very important to them to call them that. And yeah, okay, I'm happy to call you whatever you prefer.
It's funny because I interview doctors and some want me to call them doctor, and I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, whatever, it's whatever you feel comfortable with. I respect people's spaces.
exactly.
So what's been going on?
Well, I am experiencing a true fall in Portland. I just moved here in July, and I have always lived in sort of warmer climates,
Hmm.
and it has been just so cozy and so beautiful. I have never seen colors like this, like really vibrant reds, orange, and yellows, and the leaves changing. So I'm just
Yeah.
trying to lean into everything fall. Like, I've got my this is like an autumn spice tea that I'm drinking, and in my fall mug that my friend gifted me. And it's been raining all day, so just trying to lean into the coziness and go into a seasonal slowdown, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
because we do have two different metabolisms, a winter metabolism and a summer metabolism. So,
Really?
oh
That makes
yeah,
sense.
I know it really does, but it makes sense, because when we were way back when, prehistoric age, winter was okay, it's time to conserve. There's not that much
Mhm.
food. And then there's spring where you're like, yay, I can burn calories because there's plenty of food around. So
Yeah, that
uh,
actually makes a lot of sense.
yeah, I just learned about that in a mold mentorship that I'm in right now. So,
Oh, for mold toxicity?
oh yeah. Oh my
Oh, that is such
gosh.
a that is
Oh,
such a complex. Yeah, I know people who've dealt with that, and it seems difficult, but such an important thing that I feel like not a lot of people know about, but a lot of people seem affected by.
oh yeah, it's a specialty that it's one of the areas I've been led by God to take a deep dive and start helping people with that because as you know, I help with brain health and
Mhm.
a lot of people have a lot of toxicity in their brain and mold's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And mold can lead to cancer as well.
Uh-huh. And Alzheimer's.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's a perfect tie-in for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But we'll talk about that on your
Yeah.
podcast.
I know. I'm like, ooh, I want to know more.
Yes.
That is a really fascinating subject.
My husband's like, well, because it's like it's a long mentorship and I learn these little bits and he's like, Oh my gosh, no way, really? It's like I feel like I'm just like a dictionary.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you're both in the health realm. It must be
Yeah.
fun to kind of trade information back and forth.
Yeah, we've both started dancing like this recently. Hey, how about I got a great idea. How about if I introduce you, Judy, to our listeners, and then we'll take it from there because I want you to share your story and where you are and what you're doing and how you're helping ladies around the world, okay?
I'm all in. Let's do
All right,
it.
hi everyone, it's me, your Dr. Isabel on the MD and Chef team. Welcome everyone for being here. I'm so happy you're here, and I want to introduce you to a very special person. And I'm going to read because if not, then I'll probably just be, pinging all over the place. So here's about Juni. Juni Bucher, it's Bucher, right?
It's Boucher, actually. I know it
Bucher.
doesn't look anything like Boucher, but
It
yes.
needs a little thing on the end.
It
Yeah,
it does. I just don't know how to find that on my keyboard.
I don't either. I don't either. Juni Boucher. I'm going to write that in my notes. Boucher. Is that French?
Yes, yes. My full name
Wow.
is actually Jacqueline Boucher, but I go by
Oh,
my
well,
middle
I'm
name.
going to say I like Jacqueline.
I know, right?
Jacqueline. Juni Bucher is a
Mhm.
nutritional therapy practitioner, certified meditation teacher. I love yin yoga.
Yes,
So good.
me too.
And a breast cancer survivor, which we're going to hear more about. She believes that true wellness has to begin on a path to self-love and is passionate about helping others navigate their health journey so that they can feel vibrant, vivacious, and sexy until our last breath, may I add. She has her own nutritional therapy practice and is also a member of the Rose City Sexual Health Collective, where she works with people looking to balance their hormones and improve their general health to improve their health and their libido too. Cha 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 cha.
Yes, yes,
Welcome.
that's the goal usually. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, Juni, are you ready to share your story? And please don't be
Sure.
short. You had said in your message to me, I'll just say a little bit. I'm like, just share because people learn
Mhm.
so much from people's stories. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you guide me, and yeah, I'm an open book.
Okay. So can you share with us your breast cancer story, where it began, the
Mhm.
middle part, and where you are right now?
Absolutely. So back in 2019, well, actually 2018, I turned 40. I got the little card from my doctor's office saying, You're going to start doing mammograms." I went in for that. I thought, oh my gosh, this is what a horrible test this is. But, I was always good about doing the routine stuff. Nothing was found. Everything was fine, apparently. And then about 7 months later, I was rushing around one morning and I realized, okay, I have to take my dog out for a little pee break before I start work. And I ran out, no bra on, and I just kind of was in my neighborhood. And I walked by a neighbor and I did the thing that I think a lot of women do when you walk by somebody without a bra on. And I kind of put my hands up around my breast. So, just to be a little bit modest. And I felt something I hadn't felt before. And I went back inside and my partner at the time, I asked him if he felt anything. And he said, "Yeah, I do." So I called my doctor's office. I was really lucky. They got me in that day to see my doctor. She palpated the area, said, yes, I feel something. Due to your age and your history, I'm not really worried about it, but let's send you for some additional testing. And what they typically do is an ultrasound and, if necessary, a biopsy. So I get that set up. I go in for that. And I remember kind of not arguing, but sort of going back and forth with my partner, who, by the way, had a mother who had had breast cancer and a sister who had had breast cancer. And he said, I'm just going to come with you to this appointment. Let me drive you. And I said, it's everybody keeps telling me it's probably just a cyst. That's super common. I'm not worried. Don't take time off of work. It's fine. But he kept insisting. So finally I said, okay, if it's that important to you. He came with me and I'm so grateful that he did. And this is one thing I like to tell people who are on that journey or maybe are dealing with something like this. Even if you don't think you need the support, if you have it, use it. Because what ended up happening at that appointment, I, the radiation team, excuse me, was they were doing the ultrasound and it just felt like it was taking forever.
Hmm.
And that started to make me concerned. There was a lot of whispering and pointing at a screen that also was concerning. And then at one point, my whole body just started to shake. And I said, something's not right. And very soon afterwards, the doctor looked at me and said, so we see two masses, and I believe that you have breast cancer. And I was not prepared for that at all. And I said, well, how can you? I mean, I knew that going to that ultrasound appointment, they would probably be able to rule out a cyst. That is one of the benefits of that test. But I said, how can you feel confident that it's cancer? And I said, don't you have to do a biopsy first? And he said, yeah, but we can kind of tell. And I said, well, what percentage do you feel confident about this? And he said about 90%.
Mm.
And I was floored. So he said, we want to do a biopsy right now. So I'm going to need you to go out to the waiting room while we sterilize the room. And I kind of felt like that, when you're in an assembly line and there's like a boot and you kind of get kicked out into the cold. I was in so much shock. And there's my partner, and I just burst into tears. And there were other people there. I didn't want to freak them out. He's like, oh my God, what's wrong? And I said, can we take a walk? And I told him what they said. And, he had kind of the same reaction of just disbelief. And how can they know this? So cut to, they do the biopsy. I meet with the doctors. They thought it was two types of cancer. They were sort of estimating I would be at stage 2, that I would need chemo and radiation. But they do tell you, we really aren't going to know much until we get in there. I opted for a more invasive surgery, a mastectomy on the right side, because if possible, I wanted to avoid radiation. And that's what I ended up doing. When they got in there, and this is, I think, more of a rare story that you hear the opposite quite a bit. It was a little bit odd because it was a very different situation than what they had originally thought they'd seen. They only found one mass. It was only one type of cancer. It was a lot smaller. And I don't know, in my heart of hearts, I'm kind of open to all possibilities because I was already a pretty health conscious person, but I really went to kind of a deep dive into what I could do. I was experimenting with fasting protocols and the therapeutic ketogenic diet. I was working with an oncology nutritionist, and I was also, a lot of women work through their diagnoses. I looked into what I could do. I went on medical disability, and I'm very grateful that I had an extremely supportive employer at the time, but I just really focused on my healing. I focused on the love of my community. I really was trying to do everything I could do. And I don't know if that changed things or not.
Oh, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it takes the whole thing to heal.
Yeah. Because my surgery got delayed quite a bit because I was a candidate for an immediate reconstruction, a skin and nipple sparing immediate reconstruction. So that requires 2 different surgeons. And it was just, for some reason, a real difficult time getting them both available, because it was the summer when I was first diagnosed, and there's just so many vacations and stuff like that. So there were a number of months that I had to wait. And I would like to believe with a part of me that what I did may have contributed to I don't know what they ended up finding. So they also, once they got in there and got the actual tissue, they were able to do an oncotype test,
Mm-hmm.
which determined that my particular cancer would not respond well to chemotherapy. That was probably one of the highlight moments of the experience, because it's an incredibly daunting thing to go through chemotherapy. I know a lot of women do it, but I'm very grateful for these advancements in the technology. And so they basically gave me a prescription for tamoxifen. They wanted me to take for 10 years and sort of sent me on my way. I did take the tamoxifen for some time. I I also did a lot of research on that about, well, okay, I know there are a lot of women who experience side effects, and what can I do to support my body in a way that might minimize the side effects? And I tried a bunch of things. I tried to keep an open mind. Unfortunately, I think I had every side effect in the book, and I was miserable for months. So I also ended up kind of looking at, I mean, the unfortunate thing with cancer treatment is that it's not an exact science.
Mm-mm.
Tamoxifen itself has a lot of, it's a carcinogen. It's classified as a carcinogen. It can cause uterine cancer. It can cause stroke risk, blood clot risk, and even eye problems, different things. I do believe there are some women that it's an extremely appropriate and effective tool to use in preventing recurrence. In my particular situation, when I really looked at the benefit versus the side effects or the negative part for me, my situation, I did not feel that, you know, with it worked out to be kind of a small reduction of risk with a lot of quality of life impacts. And, I'm a woman, I'm unmarried, I don't have children. That factored in for me. Like, would I rather feel better in my body, not have debilitating brain fog, no libido, not be able to sleep, and feel like full of rage all the time? Because I'm a very even keeled, cheerful person. I didn't recognize myself.
Mm.
And I made a tough decision to decline continuing that route. I do use an integrative approach, but that's also how I kind of came to where I'm at today, in specializing in holistic support for hormonally driven breast cancer survivors. And I am particularly passionate about working with women who don't feel that tamoxifen is an option for them. If you have like a blood clot history, a high risk of that, or, perhaps you've had a similar experience where it just felt absolutely unbearable. And for me, my gut was just telling me, this is not for you. And I was very tentative about speaking about that for a long time. And when I did, and I have my own podcast, which I am very excited to host you on. When I started talking about that in my decision, and just being very clear, this is not medical advice. I'm not saying do what I do, or that this is the appropriate solution for you, but this is my experience, and this is my approach, and this is how I am working on preventing or lowering my risk reduction. And I believe in taking a root cause approach. So I love working with women who have found themselves in that situation as well. And I have had such a strong reaction from the breast cancer community for people that felt like, they didn't have options, or they didn't know where to turn. And so that's become a big platform for me. Another amazing gift that I got out of this whole experience, because I did make a major life change.
I want to
mean,
I just want to
yeah.
stop you right there. I
Yeah.
love what you just said.
Oh, thank you.
Another gift, your mess is now a message. I mean, that's beautiful.
Mm.
Not everybody's able to do that, but you did that. And so I applaud you for that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, every life situation can be, it's all about our mindset. It's crazy. And I know that's easier said than done
It's easier said than done.
sometimes,
Amen.
but at the same time, if you keep working on, I've had kind of a rough October on like for a few different reasons. And there were times when I would, try to listen to my own advice. And I was just like, you can take your positive attitude and stick it where the sun don't shine. But you just, some days you're like, okay, all right, I can't surrender today, but let's just keep trying in the next moment. And I feel, I really do feel that, it works. And some days you got to give yourself a little bit of grace. But I ultimately switched my entire life around. I had one of those cancer awakenings where you go, I just don't want to do the stuff I don't want to do. I mean, I will continue to be an adult and be responsible, but in terms of my job, everything, what is my truly aligned pathway? And so I went back to school and became, got this certification in nutritional therapy, realized when I started working with clients that everybody's incredibly stressed out, especially breast cancer patients. So then I said, well, a tool that's worked for me for the last decade is meditation. So let's figure out how to teach this to people and help clients that way. So I got that certification as well. And I work with women doing that. And I love working through the Rose City Sexual Health Collective, taking a holistic approach to sexual health by, there's a lot going on in terms of sexual side effects that can come from hormonal therapies, the aftermath of chemotherapy. And also, even if you don't do those things, when you lose a breast and you essentially lose an erogenous zone, like, how do you find your way back to loving your body and sexual confidence? So that's been another platform that I love working with survivors on, and has been super rewarding for me. So that's where I am now.
And you can only be talking about this and coaching people about this because of what you went through.
Yeah.
I mean, who's going to be able to talk about having an erogenous zone deficiency and how do you replace that? What do you do?
I think it definitely helps. It informs and allows me to understand in a different way. I was recently doing some work with some local breast cancer organizations for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And, when I told them about that part of my practice, they said, oh, we've had sex therapists and sex coaches and people talking about this, but nobody who's actually a survivor. And it does change things for breast cancer patients when oh, you've been there, you understand. And, everybody's journey looks different. My journey looks very different than, stage 4, but there is something that you do understand in a way that you can't if you've never been in those shoes.
Yes. Well, it makes you relatable.
Yeah.
You've gone walking in those shoes. I applaud you again for sharing that and being able to help people, because not everybody's able to do that, Juni. A lot of people become bitter and depressed and anxious and just go deal with some type of escape, eating, drinking, drugs, finance, that whole mess. But your escape was to help others. And that's a beautiful way.
Thank
you. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, The Wisdom of Trauma by Dr. Gabor Mate.
No, but I mean, Gabor Mate. Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
Oh my God.
I have his book. Is he When the Body Says No? Or is he
No, that's somebody else.
Is he
I think
the Body Keeps the Score? Because
no, it's not The Body Keeps the Score. But anyway, there's a movie.
Okay.
Just and you got to check it out. It's called The Wisdom.
No. Yep. Yes, I have his book. He's amazing.
When the Body Says No.
Yeah, and I am very into that. Okay, I'm gonna look that up. That
so
sounds
the
incredible.
wisdom, just go to the wisdomoftrauma.com.
Okay.
And they've got a movie, and I saw the movie, and it's just so Oh my gosh, I love simplicity.
Mhm.
I am a simple mind. That's how I
Yes.
make it through life. And the simple equation is people go through trauma, which leads to pain, which leads to escape. Now,
Mm.
the escape mode can be drugs, alcohol, um, pornography, gambling, trying to be in control, or the escape could be, in my case, into God's arms.
Mm.
You know,
Mhm.
in a lot of people's way, meditation.
Mhm.
To helping the world. So that's just that equation helps us understand why
Yes.
there's so many addictions and people in jail and all that stuff. And for you, your escape is the meditation and learning and teaching and empowering and encouraging. And I love that. So,
Thank you. I mean, I wasn't always like that. I think I've had to work on that.
oh, we all do. But
Yeah.
how old are you now? 45?
I'm 45. Yeah.
And just think you got another 55 years of life ahead of you. You get to do it with wisdom like this, heart wisdom.
Well, what I have found, I will tell you, because at the end of the day, we do what works best and what brings us the most comfort. And with practice, I realized, oh, having too many glasses of wine doesn't solve the
Ah,
problem the way that when I actually do the work and find a way to sit through this feeling to completion, I actually feel fantastic and it feels resolved in a way that doesn't, the other method just creates more problems. So I've learned that through a lot of trial and error. But ultimately, yeah, after you start doing it for a while, it does get easier and your brain finally gets it.
mm,
Oh, this is what actually works. This is what ultimately feels really good, even though, yeah, it might feel pretty uncomfortable, but that will go away and that will dissipate in a way that is freeing and healthy. And I've read a lot about the relationship with emotional trauma and cancer, and this bitterness, resentments, holding on, feelings of helplessness, those things can all contribute to the development of disease. I truly believe that. I know some people
I do too. I
don't like that
absolutely do.
idea.
Oh, well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I believe it puts the control back in your hands. Some people are yeah, don't feel that way, but it gives you, and it's a beautiful journey that you can go on.
Yeah. Junie, let's
Yeah.
talk about how to prevent breast cancer because
Mhm.
people just think it's genetic and it is what it is. And I'll get it sooner or later. And if I don't, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Can you kind of share what you've
Of
learned about how
course.
to prevent it? Because
Yeah.
there's not too many people. I see so much out there. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're
I
heading towards
know.
it. Yeah.
I know. And honestly, yeah, most of breast cancer is not genetic. That's probably one of the biggest misconceptions. And really I mean it's hard to encapsulate that in a tiny blurb, but try. I will
You don't
try.
have to. No, you don't have to. Just, just what you can, because we can always come back later at on
Yeah.
another
I
podcast too.
mean,
Okay.
ultimately, one of the things you really have to do is try to manage your stress. And that is a multifold sort of response. Okay. You have to manage the stress on your body. If you're eating foods that are creating inflammation or you have sensitivities to, that is stressful on your body. If your blood sugar is all over the place, you're you're not eating balanced meals that have the nutrients that your body needs. That's really stressful. That's stressful on your body. But also if you're not managing just the stress in your life, um, you're constantly pushing too hard. That's another way that we create this chronic state of fight or flight. Maybe it affects your sleep, and it's just a cascade. And ultimately, with breast cancer, a lot of it is hormonally driven. And a lot of that comes from an imbalance of the sex hormones. And a lot of women are estrogen positive. I honestly don't think I've encountered a single woman in my practice, whether they're breast cancer patients or not, who doesn't seem to have some signs of estrogen dominance. Um, and that can be all that much more common as we get a little bit older. But I really think it's this incredibly hard pressure that we put on ourselves. I'm not a parent, but I know a lot of parents who really want to, they really want to be a good parent. They feel like they have to fill up their child's day, but they just collapse at night. And they're scrolling on TikTok until 2 a.m. because they don't know how
Mm.
to wind down. And then they're overstimulated. They can't sleep. It's just, and then they're too tired in the morning to make a healthy breakfast. And, oh, Janie will only eat bagels. So I guess I got to make her that. And then and then I'm going to eat off her plate. There's just this whole pattern. So that's one thing, is minimizing your stress. Also, just understanding that our world, unfortunately, the cleaning products, the makeup products, they're not looking out for us in terms of what these ingredients are. I know you're not in the US anymore.
No, but that's
But
okay. You know what? New Zealand's got it too. And I always say,
yeah.
don't count calories, count chemicals.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Yeah. No, it's insane. And when I did the detoxification unit in school, it was terrifying the way that chemicals are, the approval process, what happens in order for them to be considered harmful to people, and how ridiculous the amount of evidence needs to be. I mean, things like, it's such a long process for something to be classified as a carcinogen. And probable carcinogen. There are so many things that we know are probably not good, but they won't do anything about it until it's just overwhelming. So understand that you really have to advocate for yourself, in terms of reading labels, educating yourself, using apps like the Environmental Working Group, Think Dirty, or other apps like that, where you can literally just scan items at the grocery store and see what stuff is in it and how, that might be hormonally disruptive to your body. And also, another thing I really like to say is, be honest with yourself. The
Mm.
choices that we make now, and you work a lot with this as well, like, don't wait for a health crisis to
No.
prioritize yourself. It doesn't have to be a black and white flip. People sometimes think, well, getting healthy means I can never do anything, eat anything I love, or do anything I enjoy doing. That's not what it means.
Mm-mm.
We have to flip that script and understand, nourishment comes in all forms. So what are you eating? What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you scrolling? What are you putting on your body? Look at all of these things, but start small.
Mhm.
And you can build. And the great thing is that we are such reward-based creatures. When you start small, if that's going to be the best pathway for you, I like to tell people, start with water hydration.
Mm.
Like, most of us don't even remember what it's like to feel hydrated.
With
And
good filtered
with
water,
filtered water.
with a squeeze of lemon or lime, just to
Yes.
help with the detoxification process.
Right.
Yeah,
And
simple. And maybe a leaf of mint or spearmint, whatever
I
you'd like.
love, that's one of my favorite. Cucumber,
Oh,
mint, those are all
yeah.
my favorites. But yeah. It is can be a really monumental shift for people
Mm.
when they feel hydrated. And in recognizing, like, the effects it has on your memory, your ability to think, your
Yeah.
hunger, just
Yeah.
like baby steps.
Yeah, I always like to give the picture of a sunflower or flowers.
Uh-huh.
When your flowers aren't watered, what do they look like? They look like you being tired and drooped over and like, I'm so tired. I think, I just want to go to sleep. But what do we do when they're drooped? We water them and they wake up and they're perky and they're like, yay!
Yes. Oh, that's such a good analogy. I'm going to use that. Because it
It's
makes
all
a lot of
yours. I
sense.
know, I
Yeah.
know.
Oh, that's perfect.
What about body fat?
Okay. Yes.
My gosh, the
Yes.
amount of obesity that we're
Yeah.
seeing out there, the research shows, the latest medical research is
Yep.
we need our BMI to be less than 25%. I
Yep.
know a lot of people aren't into the BMI, but I use, and I don't normally use that BMI. I'm sorry, I don't mean to
Yeah.
take the floor from you,
No.
but I'm
No,
so
this is such an important topic for sure.
I'm so intense about this because
Yeah.
of what I've learned and how the wool is just being pulled over our eyes out there about
Yeah.
this issue. But BMI less than 25% is
Yeah.
key because fat, when we're menopausal, when we're in our menopause, we hide this bad estrogen because
Yeah.
there's 3 estrogens. There's the bad estrogen, which is estrone, in our body fat. And it's that estrogen, estrone, that has 3 metabolites that increases our risk of breast cancer. But the more fat we have, the more estrone we have, and the more, well, 3 of the metabolites, the more increased risk of breast cancer. And look at the clothing stores. The clothing stores are just, they're just they're just reaping the profits from just delivering us tents, saying, oh, this is just the way it is, here's the tent here. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
like
it's
vanity
hard to find.
sizing and
Yeah,
yeah.
it's hard to find anything fitted anymore because everybody is just getting so huge. And I'm just like, ladies, come on, take control of your health. Don't think that healthcare starts in the doctor's office. That's like
Yeah.
a crazy thought. Healthcare starts way before you end up in. So I'm all for helping women get their body fat down.
Well, that is another fact about breast cancer that a lot of women don't know
No, they
is
don't.
that obesity is one of the highest risk factors for breast cancer. So it is very important, and it's difficult because
It is.
there's this whole body positivity movement. And it's like, yes, we need to love ourselves. We don't need to hold ourselves against this Giselle Bundchen standard, but we do need to be honest about the fact that we are greatly increasing our health risks when we are overly fat. And so, the BMI, like, yeah, I think about the BMI thing. And when you look at a BMI range, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a really big range of weight. And sure, it's not a perfect system. I do like to especially if you're an athletic woman, if you can get a body composition
Oh
test like a
yeah.
DEXA
Oh yeah.
scan, those are great.
Yeah.
And that's the surprising thing is you can be within that BMI range and have too much fat.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, that's the skinny fat thing.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just because if you are built with like a small frame, that doesn't mean necessarily that you're where you might be for optimal health. But yes, it is a factor that people get very touchy about,
I
but it's the
know.
truth. It's the
I
truth.
know.
We
I
can't.
know. And we got to tell people the truth. And the
Yeah.
truth hurts sometimes, but the truth is going to save us
Yeah.
from a lot of pain. And I understand that people have gone through trauma, which
Yeah.
leads to pain, which leads to escape. And we escape into food. It feeds our heart. I get
Yes.
that. I've been there, but we got to wake up and take control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
So
hard thing too, yeah, it's a very difficult thing. And I have always tended towards being overweight. So I understand like the pain and the feelings and the self-criticism. But yeah, I'm very vocal about it as well, of like, this
yeah.
is a reality. Like, if you really want to know what you're doing or not doing that's putting you at a higher risk. And I mean, the latest statistics is 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. That's ridiculous.
And
It
who's
is.
talking about the prevention, like all the things, vitamin D,
Yeah.
cruciferous vegetables,
Vegetables.
no
Yeah.
trans fats, no seed oils, maintain a BMI between 19 to 24, lower your
Movement. Yeah.
get your fasting insulin at the right level. Who's talking
Yeah.
about that? Because,
Yeah.
so anyway, as you can see, we got part 2 coming up, right?
No, I mean, this is what this is what I talk a lot about in, in my podcast. I love a lower carb diet for
Oh,
certain
yeah.
types of certain body types. I don't believe there's one way of eating that's right for everybody. But if you're like me and your body wants to store a bit more fat, like a lower carb diet, I mean, and I feel amazing when I eat that way. My brain is fired, my mood is stable, my skin looks great,
Me too.
and my cholesterol is perfect.
Yeah.
A lot of people are scared of that because they buy into that old debunked idea that fat is bad for you. Some fats are really bad for you, sure.
Oh, there's a
But
lot of fats that are bad for you.
yeah, but good fats in the right macronutrient combination
Mhm.
are really like probably an ideal fuel for many of us. Not all
Right.
of us, but
Right.
many of us.
And I do just want to add that the fats, the seed oils that really cause a lot of the inflammation, just for the viewers if they're not aware of it, is a simple canola, corn, sunflower, safflower, and soybean oil. Just stay away from
Yeah.
those. And bran oil, no, 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 no. And vegetable
Yeah.
oil, no, 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 no.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely
Those
not.
are not good. I know they're the cheapest, but they're cheap for a reason because
Yeah,
they don't care
exactly.
about your health.
And that's what they use in most restaurants.
That's right.
So, that's why I tell people, you know, have fun with cooking. It really can be a joyful thing. I wasn't somebody who enjoyed cooking my whole life, but now it's one of my greatest joys. And I live in a town that has incredible restaurants, but I love nothing more than making like a really nice meal at home. I mean, I
Mhm.
feel like it's hard for me to go out because even the nicest restaurants tend to use cheap oils. It's
Mhm.
just
Oh, yeah.
it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
So, but that's not saying don't ever go out to eat, but don't
No,
eat out every meal. Like
no, no, no,
you
no.
have to take responsibility for your food. And the only way you're going to control the ingredients are if you make the food yourself, and it'll give you a greater relationship with the meal. It's an act of self-love to cook for yourself. I believe that.
It really is. It really
And
is.
it
I
doesn't have
love
to be
that.
fancy.
No, and it can be clean and fun and happy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Getting healthy can be happy. Okay, well, let's start landing this ship. I don't know how
Mhm.
long we've been doing this, but you've been fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Could
All
talk to you
right.
all day.
I know. I just feel like we're, dancing. So Juni, can you give our listeners 3 action steps that they can take home today and start implementing? And know, everybody, that this is coming from her heart, okay? They may look difficult, but you know what? Everything's hard until it becomes easy. That's just the way life is.
Yeah. Okay. So action steps. I would say if you are cooking for yourself, and please cook at least a couple meals for yourself. There are so many great resources out there, like meal delivery kits. You can even have food delivered, but just understand that a good healthy meal doesn't have to be quinoa and tofu with sliced cucumber. Like it can be so many different things, and build around protein. That's, I think, the major issue that people run into is they don't have a balanced ratio of protein, carbohydrates, and fats. A palm-sized portion of protein, maybe a fist-sized portion of carbohydrates. Go for something that's complex, or I like mostly starchy vegetable carbohydrates. That just works for me. And about a thumb-sized portion of healthy fat, at least. Like I love ghee. I love grass-fed butter. I'm huge with olive oil. Those are, just know it doesn't have to be super duper hard, but try to cook for yourself at least one meal a week. And it is a baby steps thing.
Yes.
Also, take time every day to, whether it's meditation or, journaling, maybe that's a great way, like to just decompress a little bit. We can't necessarily eliminate our stress, but we can change our relationship to it by doing these things restorative yoga. You talked about yin yoga. Fantastic. Allow yourself give your nervous system, give your parasympathetic nervous system a chance to activate and get you into that rest and digest state of mind. That's a good, and it doesn't have to be an hour. It can be 5 minutes and build on that. But we are constantly pushing so hard. What else? Let's see. Besides that, I would say, and just find things, think about what you love to do. Not everybody wants to go work out in the gym, but exercise or movement, I call it joyful movement, can just be putting on a song that you love and maybe moving around your living room, dancing with your daughter or son, like while you guys are washing the dishes, just bring that joy into your life, bring movement into your life, walk around the block. If you have a dog. And I love something I've been trying to do lately, because I tend to be a multitasker because I am also busy, but there are times when I just go on a walk. I don't bring my earbuds and I just take in the environment. How does the air feel on my skin? Look at the beautiful fall leaves. What are all the colors I see around me? What are the smells? Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. Just have mindful moments that you insert into your life.
Yeah.
Those are, there's a couple tips.
And the word they're beautiful. Thank you for that. Two things.
Sure.
The song I love to put on in my living room is by Pitbull. I love Pitbull because he's Cuban.
Oh, yeah?
I'm Cuban. So what can I say? And that is just to dance wild in the living room to, I believe that we will win. I believe that we will win.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway.
No, I actually have one of the freebies I wanted to offer your audience is I have like it's called the Self-Love Dance Party playlist. And it's like basically a whole list of, it's a playlist of songs that are all like, you can't not move, you can't not feel good, you can't not feel pumped up. And you don't have to do a workout or have a dance party. You can just put it on and vacuum your house. Or, I have a friend that likes to use it when she goes on a run. I put it on the other day while I was getting ready for Halloween, just because I was feeling a little bit off that day and I wanted to get pumped up. So, so that's, it's called habit stacking. Yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's good. Dance party, habit stacking. I love that. Good,
yes.
Good idea.
Thank you.
And then the word enjoy, ENJOY, instead just replace the E with the I. So enjoy, like in wherever you are, be in it and enjoy it, and that's work, because you got to wake up instead of just letting your brain go. You're just like, I'm going to enjoy this moment.
Yes. Yeah. But like it's work, but it's also, it gets easier and it brings you so much. So, I feel like people get really intimidated by starting healthy habits. And I try to tell them it turns into a lot less effort. I mean, yes, there are going to be days when you don't want to do the healthy thing, that you might have to muster up a little bit of willpower, but ultimately it is a self-propelling machine. Once you understand, if I do A, I get B, and and so it's, if you do it authentically and without this really restrictive mindset, it becomes a way of life that you will never want to stray from.
Because you feel so amazing.
Yes.
And I always go with the 80-20 rule, do it 80% of the time. Like for me, I do it Monday through Friday. And then on the weekends, I kind of loosen up a little bit. Like, yeah. So be nice to yourself, give yourself a little break.
Yeah,
now,
of course.
Junie, where can people find you? I mean, it's all going to be in the show notes, I promise, but my people will do your people's work on our show notes, but where can they find you?
So I am on social media. I'm mostly active on Instagram, and I am at Juni Be Well. That's the name of my practice. I'm also on Facebook under that. And yeah, they can find me there. I also have a podcast that I'm going to be hosting you on. It's called Tata Cancer, focused on, what is healing specifically within the realm of the breast cancer journey. And I'm also on Insight Timer if you want free guided meditations. That's I just have a teacher profile under Juni Bucher, and they're an Insight Timer, and they can reach out to me via my website, junibewell.com. I love hearing from people, and I do offer one-on-one nutritional therapy and specialize in hormone balance and breast cancer survivorship.
I love it. Thank you so much for your heart.
Thank you.
Jacqueline Boucher. I love that. I love the Jacqueline.
Yes, yes.
Thank you everyone for joining Juni and myself here at the MD and Chef team. I don't have the chef with us today, but he'll be with us on other podcasts. This is more of a girl to girl talk, breast cancer. But thank you so much for being with us today. Go ahead and share this with your friends and family. Reach out and get in contact with Juni. She's a wealth of information and her heart is in the right place. And before we go, know to remain unstoppable. Whatever is in your heart, just go for it day by day by day. Okay. Don't ever give up. If you need to give yourself a break, give yourself a break, but remain unstoppable. I love you. Thank you for your time. Mwah. Bye for now.